So I've copied and pasted it. But if you look at this, what if I wanted to make another person? Person B equals new person. That's going to be 18, just graduated Brophy, and they're 73 inches tall and 165 pounds, and boy. So this data is different. So how would then this apply here? It wouldn't, because it's different numbers. So what we need to do is make this more generic in terms of variables, because we don't know the age, the height, and weight of or gender of this person. That's totally generic to what's behind the scenes. So instead of 16, I'm going to say int A for age. Instead of 70, I'm going to say int H for height. Instead of 145, I'm going to say int weight for weight, and I did this for a reason. Stick with me. And we need another Boolean instead of true, so Boolean B for boy. Okay. Now, you'll see why I did this in a second. Instead of doing age equals 0, what I can do now is tell it that this age is now being set to what's passed in, which in this case was 16 and in this case was 18. So instead of age equals 0, I can say age equals A. By the same token, instead of height equals 0, height equals H. Now, here's why I did this. Well, first, boy equals B. Here's why I did the weight. If you think about this, weight equals weight. If you think about this statement right here, as opposed to this statement right here, ask yourself, is age equals A the same as A equals age? Hopefully you answered no. Because think about this. If age, let's just say, is, if age is 40, and the new age is 3, then age now is equal to 3. In this case, if A equals 3 and age is equal to 40, then A is now equal to 40. So the variables are switched, okay? Now, what would you guess in this case? Weight equals weight. Which variable refers to this one, and which variable refers to this one? If you're having trouble answering that question, well, truth is, so is the compiler. So is Java. Because Java doesn't know the difference between this weight and this weight if they're called the same. And let's actually try to compile this. I'll compile this. And I'm gonna bring this up. Okay. So it completes successfully. It works. But this is kind of like that thing in Word where if you spell thus when you meant this, it's not going to tell you it's wrong. Okay. So, it doesn't know which one you're talking about. But there is a way to get around that. And the way to get around it is this. literally. Now, this refers to this class file. So it knows that weight as a property of this class file is now equal to the secondary weight. Okay? I like to use this method a lot because I don't like to use different names for the same things. So I'd rather see this dot weight equals weight than this, or than weight equals W. Especially when it comes into things like name. In fact, let's add that. Private string name. And we'll put it here first. String name. Okay. Well, if I didn't do this, I could put n, but I'd rather put something that's more helpful to me, like name. But what's another word for name? Nickname, I guess. But really, the best thing that I would think, in my opinion, to use would be name. So I find myself using this dot, this dot name equals name a lot more often than just renaming these variables. So actually, that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and compile this. And this works. But again, be careful. Because boy, weight, height, and age, well, weight, not weight, but boy, height, and age don't refer to anything. Because I purposely forgot to change this to age, change this to height, and change this to B. Hopefully you caught, or boy. So hopefully you caught that. So that's the end of the constructor. Now I'm going to go back here and change this to Jeff, I don't know. And Chase. Okay. So back to the setup class file. Now what I'm going to do is write some methods. And methods are literally actions to be carried out by the object. So for instance, if I went back into this driver file, if I went back into this driver file and I wanted to say that person B had a birthday, okay? So now they're not 18 anymore, they're 19. I would need something, I would need a method that says B had, or not that said B had birthday, but B's age needs to be +1. Okay? And that's the pseudocode for that. Okay? Pseudo meaning not actual code. Alright? So I would need this method. So I'm going to need the set age method. Public set age. Okay. Notice that this looks very similar to person, public person, when we first started. But here's the thing. What needs to happen is not exactly +1, because what I want to be able to do is set the age to whatever I want. Okay? So instead of +1, it needs to be changed. So change to what though? What age would I like to set this to? Well, if you recall from back here, the way that we communicate with the creation of the object is through these parameters. Same way we communicate with the calling, quote unquote, of methods. So I would need an age. I would need an integer, and I'm going to call it age. Alright? So this is going to be the age that gets set back in here. So what I'm going to have to do is this dot age equals age. And just so you know, these variables only last for as long as this method. And after this bracket, these references are destroyed. Okay, same here. So, you know, age doesn't refer to age. Like this isn't a problem. Okay. Now, I left this here because this is a space in the method header for what's called a return type. And if you think about it, when anyone returns something, if you return something to a store, you're giving it back. So if I went down here and made a public getAge method, I wouldn't need an age to be passed in, but what I would need to do would be to give back the age of the person. Okay? So I would need to return age of person. Okay? Here, I just need to carry out this operation. Here, I need to actually return something. Now, age is an int. So I need to return an int. Return type is int. Okay? And all I'm going to say in terms of returning the age of the person is return age. That's it. And all it's going to do is give back the age. Here though, if you think of the term null and void, it means not valid. So here, I don't need a return type. There's no return type necessary, which means that the return type is null and void. So that's why the return type here is void, when it doesn't need anything to be returned. So that's what's called a get and set. Get age, set age. A get and set pair of methods. And I'm literally going to follow this this really basic template, I guess, if you will, for all of these variables. So I'm actually going to come back up and start with the name.